I would now like to welcome Lise Betteridge, our college's Registrar and CEO, to the podium for her to give her annual report. Lise?
Well, of course, I have to say that it's never quite the same to be in a virtual format and not be able to make my usual joke about adjusting the microphone. But here we are in a virtual format for our 2020 annual meeting, and I want to welcome you to this annual meeting. We're so pleased to have you join us today and to be in a position to host the event via live stream. I want to begin my speech by acknowledging the gravity of events over the past year, events which have impacted not just us, but so many around the world and in our province. To say that this is an unprecedented time and that we've been changed in immense and ongoing ways would be a huge understatement. We're living in the midst of a global pandemic. We've witnessed, and we continue to witness, the worldwide mobilization against anti-Black racism, as well as a historic reckoning on issues related to anti-Indigenous racism, systemic oppression, and renewed calls for social justice. The world has changed, but with change comes the possibility for a better, more equitable, and just future. As Shelley noted in her President's Report, this year marks the college's 20th anniversary. When I look back on the changes that have occurred at the college over the years, I recognize the many accomplishments, not the least of which is our evolution as a trusted leader in the regulatory community across Canada and beyond. All of these changes may seem quite natural today, but each was carefully considered, months, if not years, in the making. Marking the college's 20th anniversary can't be done without first recognizing our founding registrar, Glenda McDonald. 5 years ago this past May, Glenda passed away following a courageous battle with cancer. She was a leading advocate for the regulation of social work and social service work professions, and had a long and celebrated career as a social worker. Today's event, which is a scaled-down version of the college's annual Meeting and Education Day, is part of Glenda's legacy. I want to reiterate Shelley's message of acknowledgement and thank college council and staff, including our past council presidents, many of whom are joining us today via live stream. Thank you for your leadership, hard work, and commitment over the years. Following today's annual meeting, we're pleased to have Dr. Ramona Alagia, a leading researcher on gender and violence, join us as today's keynote speaker. Gender-based violence is one of the most pressing subjects of our time. The rise of the Me Too movement and the findings of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls have put a huge media spotlight on this issue and helped launch a broader discussion about the pervasive systemic issues at its root. During her presentation, Ramona will discuss gender equality, gender equity, and gender-based violence in the midst of a pandemic. She'll explore a number of issues, including how we define gender, as well as the differences between gender equality and equity, and how these are connected to gender-based violence. She'll also look at the ways that we, as social workers and social service workers, can identify and redress gender-based violence. Following today's meeting, in the coming weeks, we will post the annual meeting in its entirety and the keynote address on the college's YouTube channel and website. As Registrar and CEO of the college, my responsibility and my privilege this morning is to provide you with a snapshot of the college's 2019 operational activities. The operations of the college are guided by our legislative mandate, as well as policy directions approved by Council. The accomplishments that I'll report on today are the result of the hard work of college staff and guided by a very capable management team. I would like to begin by commenting on the college's finances as reported in the annual report and by our auditor, Talia Rubin of Crowe Soberman. As you can see, the college's finances are well managed and its financial position continues to be stable. As I've explained in past years, in 2009, the Council made a strategic decision to approve ongoing deficit budgets in order to draw down in a planned and gradual way on the reserve built up in the early years of operations. As we approached a level of the reserve that would be sufficient to ensure that the college could fulfill its obligations as a regulatory body and remain viable in the long term, we continued to recognize the need to move toward a balanced budget. I'm pleased to report that we reached that target in 2019, earlier than expected. We're continually aware of our responsibilities to manage college resources prudently, and we must ensure that we're well prepared for any potential risks the college may face. This is, of course, extremely evident in light of COVID-19. Recognizing the many unknowns and the ongoing impact of the pandemic, we will continue to monitor the current year's budget very carefully. Every year, in addition to its annual budgeting process, the college prepares cash flow projections which assist council in making important budgetary decisions, including setting registration and membership fees. Both processes are critical in ensuring that there is adequate funding to meet our ongoing statutory obligations, fund current projects, and implement new programs, all in the service of our mandate. It should be emphasized that all of the college's many decisions must be grounded in our mandate to govern the professions of social work and social service work and serve and protect the public interest. I'd like to take this opportunity to share a bit more detail about expenses that you'll note in the audited financial statement. You'll note a decrease in legal expenses, which include hearing costs, from approximately $752,000 in 2018 to $517,000 in 2019. Some of this decrease has to do with the challenge of predicting, as part of the budget process, the number of matters that will go to discipline in a given year, and whether they will be contested, partially contested, or negotiated in terms of facts and penalty. New and ever more stringent auditing requirements also continue to require regulatory colleges to accrue or include legal costs associated with hearings that are in progress at the end of the year and expected to be carried over into the next year when they can be reasonably estimated. Like other regulators, including social work regulators across Canada and internationally, we continue to experience an increase in the seriousness and complexity of complaints and discipline matters generally. Legal services are essential in order for the college to carry out its core mandate of protecting the public from unqualified, incompetent, and unfit practitioners, and ensuring rigorous complaints and discipline processes are in place. They're also indispensable for any regulatory body seeking to minimize risk and achieve regulatory effectiveness. The college remains committed to the prudent use of legal and other resources. You'll notice a decrease in website expenses from $29,000 in 2018 to $12,000 in 2019. This decrease is due to the fact that the college did not undertake any major website projects in 2019 as it had in the few years prior. We did, however, perform standard maintenance and conduct our usual website revisions to ensure optimal usability for all stakeholders. You may have noticed an increase in the election line, where costs increased from $3,585 in 2018 to just over $9,000 in 2019. This increase reflects the development of a 5-part online video series, The 3 R's of Serving on Council: Roles, Responsibilities, and Requirements, as well as a candidate quiz, both of which are required training for members of the college who wish to stand for election to council. We're proud of this new online learning requirement, which is considered best practice with respect to governance and is intended to educate and inform those who wish to consider running for council. College membership continues to grow. As of December 31st, 2019, the college had 22,491 registered members, over 1,000 more than the previous year. This is a considerable achievement that demonstrates a wider and increased understanding of our role as a regulatory body. You'll note from the annual report that 2,417 new members registered with the college in 2019. The college encourages new graduate members through a reduced fee in the year that they register, provided that they register by December 31st of the year that they graduate, and then the 2 subsequent years. Overall, 1,093 new graduates registered in 2019, and 95% of members renewed their membership. As is the case every year, in 2019, the college submitted its annual reports on its registration practices to the Office of the Fairness Commissioner in accordance with the Fair Access to the Regulated Professions Act. In this area and others, the college is committed to continually improving its processes to ensure transparency and fairness. The OFC reports can be found on the college's website. The college had a very productive and rewarding year in 2019. In 2019, we launched our public awareness campaign called What's in a Name? Protection for You. The purpose of this ongoing campaign is to promote awareness of the college and the online register and reinforce the college's ongoing mandate to protect the public interest. You may have come across our ads on Facebook, YouTube, or while waiting in a medical clinic. Prior to the What's in a Name campaign, many members of the public were not aware that the titles social worker, registered social worker, social service worker, or registered social service worker are protected titles in Ontario. The college's highly successful campaign encourages the public to check the online register to confirm that the practitioner that they're dealing with, someone that they understand to be a social worker or social service worker, is in fact a registered member of the college. Web traffic to the online register has climbed dramatically since the launch of the public awareness campaign. Last year, the online register recorded close to 200,000 page views, a 70% increase over the previous year. We've also seen a remarkable 4 percentage point increase in public awareness of the college as a result of the campaign's first year. Ontarians are getting the message. The college recognizes the importance of title protection to the public and our members. The Social Work and Social Service Work Act states that only those who are registered with the college can use any of the protected titles or hold out expressly or by implication that they are a social worker or a social service worker. In 2019, the college investigated 116 matters related to title protection and pursued 2 unregulated practitioners through the courts for the use of protected titles and/or holding themselves out as registered members of the college. We also continued our proactive media outreach and communicated regularly with journalists to advise them of the college's role, the protected titles, and the online register. The college continues to engage its government and other stakeholders on the regulations under the Child, Youth and Family Services Act and the regulation of Children's Aid Societies, or CAS, staff. Currently, only local directors of Children's Aid Societies are required to be registered with the college. While the college supports the government's recently announced initiative to modernize the child welfare system, we're disappointed that the modernization strategy does not contemplate any requirement for CAS workers to be registered with the college. Such a requirement would be well aligned with the government's objectives for this initiative, as registration is central to driving quality improvement and ensuring accountability. We also believe that the registration of CAS workers is an important way to ensure equity, as all Ontarians, especially vulnerable children and youth, and the Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities served by CAS workers deserve the protection provided by college oversight of workers, providing them with vital services and supports. The college will continue to work with the government and sector partners to emphasize its important role and relevance in the child welfare sector and to seek changes to the regulations which would address the risks to the public associated with the fact that many CAS workers in Ontario are unregulated by a professional regulatory body. The college supports its members' ethical and professional practice through a variety of programs and resources. We developed a new professional practice resources last year, including the college's Ethics A, ethical decision-making tool, along with an accompanying video and practice notes. The Ethics A tool is designed to assist members in applying their professional judgment in particular practice scenarios. The tool remains a popular resource for members and is one of the most downloaded documents on the college website. Our college's professional practice department was very active in 2019. They provided 3,505 practice consultations to members, employers, and the public, and delivered 45 presentations to social work and social service work programs and workplaces across Ontario, remotely and in person. The college hosted its first professional practice webinar in 2019, focused on preparing for private practice, which attracted over 300 participants. Building on the success of its first webinar, the college recently hosted a webinar on supervision and plans to hold more such events in the future. As part of this year's Continuing Competence program, the college requires that members read the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, as well as the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Moving forward, we will seek to reach out to and begin conversations with Indigenous communities to begin to implement the TRC's calls to action within the regulatory context. In 2019, the college completed an accessibility audit of its digital platforms and implemented key recommendations to ensure these platforms are accessible to all Ontarians. We'll continue to work to ensure that our communications and materials are available in French as well as accessible to those living with disabilities. As outlined in our new strategic plan, the college is committed to continuing its work on issues of diversity, inclusion, and equity. In the days and years ahead, we will strive to provide more educational resources to support members in practicing ethically and professionally, with a focus on considerations related to equity, diversity, and inclusion, in the best interests of the individuals, families, and communities to whom they provide care and services. To protect the public and ensure accountability, the college considers and investigates reports and complaints regarding alleged misconduct of college members. In 2019, the college's Complaints Committee considered 55 new complaint investigations and released 70 written decisions and reasons. The college's Executive Committee considered 15 reports and closed 16 reports investigations in 2019. 13 written decisions and reasons were issued last year. Regulatory investigations were conducted, resulting in 4 referrals to the Discipline Committee. The Registration Appeals Committee considered 7 requests for review and issued 4 decisions with reasons in 2019. The college's Discipline Committee last year held 11 hearings and issued 8 written decisions. As you know, the Discipline Committee's decision summaries are published in the Perspective newsletter and made available on the college website in both English and French. In response to public expectations for greater transparency, we now publish our discipline decisions on the CanLII website, which is an open legal database. Public protection is the guiding compass from which the college gets its direction. In the years ahead, we will continue to aspire to new heights and do even better in our mission to serve and protect Ontarians. I want to take this opportunity to thank Council President Shelley Hale and members of Council and committees for their ongoing leadership. I also wish to acknowledge and thank our dedicated college staff. These challenging times have underscored how proud I am to work alongside you. Together, we continue to be committed to excellence in our important duty to protect the public. Lastly, on behalf of the college, I want to thank you, our members, for your continued commitment to delivering professional and ethical care. I recognize that many of you are going through difficult times and may be quite anxious as these uncertain times continue. Whether you've been affected personally or financially by the pandemic, whether you were providing essential services to the public in the face of the provincial shutdown, and or whether you are still feeling the impact of sudden and dramatic changes in the nature of your work, thank you. Together, we will see this through.